If a wildfire broke out in your community, would you be ready? Would you know where to go? Did you take steps ahead of time to protect your property? Wildfire experts want you and your neighbors to have the answers to these questions. As climate change increases the risk of wildfires countrywide and to urban areas, Halifax Fire is conducting risk assessments for all 200 communities in HRM. Should yours be next? When Paul Mead moved into his house on Sheepshead Island 3 years ago, he could barely spot it from the road through the property's dense bands of trees. He started to cut it back for aesthetic reasons. But after a wildfire broke out in the nearby community of Upper Tantallon in May 2023, Mead soon realized his proactive tree clearing had another unintended bonus: fire prevention. He felt some relief that fire wasn't on his own doorstep that May, until another fire was.
We thought we were okay until a fire broke out on the island. And if it hadn't have been for the diversion of a air crew to come over here before the fire trucks got here and scoop water out of the ocean and put the fire out, the whole island could have gone up. Now that was a wake-up call, serious wake-up call.
Mead and the 18 other households on the island realized they were vulnerable and wanted to do something about it. They reached out to Kara McCurdy, Halifax Fire's wildfire mitigation manager, for help. McCurdy is assessing every community in Halifax Regional Municipality for its risk of wildfire and other hazards like floods, educating residents, and identifying related issues in the wider community. It's an enormous task, one she's carrying out with the help of city planners, environmental officials, and an expert at Dalhousie University. But there's another very important partner in this initiative: residents.
The thing is getting the buy-in from the community members. Nova Scotia is 75% privately owned. Halifax municipality in general is quite forested, in comparison to a lot of others. So we have that urban interface, those homes right up against the woods to worry about. So getting those folks involved in wildfire mitigation is key, and it's not something that's been on people's radar up until last year.
Risk assessments often start by considering the proximity of forests and wooded areas to homes. McCurdy also looks at things like the types of wood in the forest, whether there are water sources available, and whether there's emergency egress. As issues are discovered, changes are made. When the fire broke out on Sheepshead Island, resources were stretched thin across the province, and Mead realized he and his neighbors had no plan for escape. Fire trucks had blocked the narrow causeway.
Nobody could get off the island, so that was a concern. So a few of the people gathered around and we were taken out by boat.
Now the residents have come up with an evacuation plan that includes muster points on the island. They also carried out a community cleanup event to help reduce the amount of fire fuel, which they plan to do yearly.
Fire and wind is just a bad combination. So what we want to do is thin out the trees so that at least you may not stop a fire, but you can slow it down. And if you can slow it down, you might save yourself, right?
Just up the road here from Sheepshead Island is a place called Mason's Point. It's a peninsula, so like Sheepshead, there's only one way in and out. Cynthia Weatherston lives there, and she also felt vulnerable after the wildfires last year. So she decided to do something about it. This is what Cynthia Weatherston has been up to lately. Last year, she met with McCurdy to learn about Fire Smart, a national program that teaches residents and communities about how to protect themselves against wildfires. She brought that information back to her book club, a group of roughly 25 women that meet monthly.
They immediately said, we have to do this. We have to share this information with our neighborhood. We need to do it.
From that, a new society was born. They incorporated as a nonprofit in order to access grants and to add a layer of legitimacy. Weatherston says more than 80 people attended the Fire Safe Society of Mason Point's launch meeting in May. Since then, she started making weekly videos to teach her neighbors about fire prevention.
Everything a homeowner does improves things from where they are now, no matter how small. So just start doing something. And what you do on your own property helps your neighbor, which in turn will help the whole neighborhood. So start small, do those things you feel comfortable with, and just grow it out from there.
McCurdy has completed 24 risk assessments to date and has many more in the works. That includes Indigenous and African Nova Scotian communities, as part of the fire service's efforts to ensure those diverse communities are prioritized. But McCurdy is also taking on communities who reach out to her directly.
I'm excited when people reach out to me because they've already got that vested interest in doing the work, right? They care about their community. They want to get the work done in their community. That's not saying that the ones that haven't reached out aren't interested. I just don't think that they know where to start. And the big thing is to get a hold of myself and I can kind of start the process and explain to them how they can go about it.
Thomson, CBC News, Sheepshead Island and Masons Point.